Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rabbit here. And we're back with Jenkins this time. Hooray! And as you can probably tell, things have changed. And the reason for that is there was a recording hiccup where my voice audio was not picked up. And I went through an entire boss the sodden night. Oh god. Damn it. Ah, what a great way to start off the video. And I went through an entire boss without actually getting the audio for it, which is frustrating. Let me check if there it is. Okay, yeah. It's getting my voice. Hooray. Consume song. So, if you want to see the Sodden Night fight, I was using effectively the same equipment in the Abella playthrough that I used for Jenkins. Now, this spear is not going to be staying with us for long. Hello, Scarecrow friend. Curiosity. What creature persists in the face of such suffocating edge? The others have begun to kneel to my edge. Will it join them? No. Such brave, foolish curiosity. It will struggle then, and it will bleed, and it will fall. And one day, when it finds itself beaten and broken, gasping for air, choking on its own blood and tears, that will be the day that it kneels to my edge, and I will consume it. He's edgy as fuck, kinda stupid. I don't really like him. He shows up in a few other areas, but he's equally edgy in all of those areas. So yeah, this spear would not be our weapon for the entire playthrough. Which, yeah, that's mainly because Abella is intended to be a spear user, and Jenkins was more I defaulted to the spear. Because it's useful. I have not had any warm-up games, I'm just steadily getting better. Unfortunately for some of you, I know. I know at least one of you enjoys seeing me get fucked over by my own terribleness at the... Ow. You can't... Little mini jack. There we go. Wooden targe. It could be useful. Drowned Archer's Ear. So, I'm actually going to equip the wooden targe for this guy, and hopefully it goes as well as the Abella fight. That's a good start. Do. Come, my friend. I must shove my long, hard spear into your innards. I was trying a little bit too hard for that innuendo. Alright, one more time. Come up. Get up. There we go. There we go. That's it. Good boy. Stay down. Faithful ring. I suppose I should actually go over the gear and such in this episode as well, in case some choose not to watch the Abella episodes, which are going up in tandem with these, because someone requested that I do more of Abella. For Jenkins, I don't actually know what weaponry I'm going to be using aside from, you know, a bow. Because he's intended to use a bow. Oh, shit. Because he is intended to use a bow. However, attempting to use just a bow is a bad idea. Say that, immediately eat shit due to spear. There is a counter system if you fail to get a parry. Like if you're too late for it, then you will be able to... Fuck. then you will be able to knock... I think you're supposed to have a much... I think you're supposed to have a... No? Huh. Weird. I think you're supposed to have something from much later in order to get that, or you have to drop down from higher up. So, some of you might recognize this area from the Bell Let's Play. This is the location of a certain thing. These enemies are terrible because their thrown weapons do a lot of damage. As you can see, they also apply a debuff that makes you take more damage. And yeah, these enemies are brutal. You don't normally see them until much later in the game. I disagree with that. You don't normally see them until much later into the game. But, yeah, they're good to farm for salt at current, but you would probably... I don't know how to get to that. I have to look into that later on. They're good to farm for salt. They're also... well, maybe up here. No? Huh. I don't know. Yeah, they're good to farm for salt. The item that we got from them is the Ghastly Gourd, which is the... it's like the Xanathar's Crown, or whatever it's called in Dark Souls series. It's just a thing that shows up... I'm gonna rest. It's just a thing that shows up. So actually, leveling up. So, for those that didn't watch the Abella episode, how do you get the Soldier Spear? Well, you can buy it from... I'm probably going to be getting a lot of knife stuff, so... where's the next instance of bows? This way. Class 1 Assassin. I think I'm going to be using a knife, or at least I will try to. Knives are not exactly very good weapons, but they're light, and they get the job done, at the very least. Woodsman's Axe, Arming Sword, Midshipman's Dirk, Heater Shield, Cotton Tunic. They get the job done. They have a very weird, fighting style? Arming Sword? I might do. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna give it a shot because I never actually use, like, long swords. So, might as well. So, there's that. There's a thrust combo. Rising combo. Not bad. I may stick with this for a little bit. I may actually pick up class 1 sword, two-handed class 1 great swords. We have class 1 swords. There we go. Then if we continue along it, we get swords further up through there. And daggers off to the side. So, this window might look a little familiar to certain people that have played certain Final Fantasy games. Yeah, that's on purpose. Class 1 Marksman, might as well. And then, Class 2 Light Armor. We will be getting our, Endurance, Maximum Equipment Load, determines Maximum Stamina. Let's go with Endurance, because I want to actually go through here, not through... fucking... We'd have to go through a lot more shit to get what we actually want, and then we'd have to also continue along this path. So, I haven't actually explained this window, and that's probably because there's a lot to explain here. A sip of coffee. Oh god, that's old coffee. Nasty. So, this skill window, you normally start with skills in one of the, like, 4 or 5 trees, which is dexterity over here, quality up through the middle, which, for those that don't know, quality comes from Demon Souls, and has kind of carried on through Dark Souls and the Souls clones, which is where you have equal scalings of strength and dexterity. And then you have strength over here. And going down here, you have miracles, which I don't know if I'm going to pick those up. And then over here you have magic. Now, if I get good daggers, I might use them. But frankly, daggers are kind of shit, I've found. That's probably because I'm not a big fan of parrying. I could probably do to get better at it, but, there we go. Consume scroll. Mini jacks, cease your faggotry. There we go. I could probably do to get better at parry. I probably shouldn't have said that on YouTube. Fuck. Oh, there goes a channel strike. Anyway. Watching Woods, we're not going to be going there yet. We haven't beaten the boss. And something that took me a while to get for Abella was this. The Koreamore. The Claymore, phonetic Japanese. Someone pointed out that it's the phonetic Japanese pronunciation of Claymore, which is a Scottish term, Claymore, which is a big fuck-off sword. And I could show it to you now, probably. Do I have the strength? I could technically wield it. I don't know why it's saying that I can't. Alright, two-handed sword, first carried by the Highland clans of Dor Isle, but now widely popular throughout the continents owing to its versatility and relative ease of use. Its unpretentious design emphasizes function over form and a humble testament to the virtues of simplicity. Does 14 damage, has S strength scaling, C dexterity scaling, and it has a weight of 12. You might think, that sounds pretty good. And it is. Don't get me wrong. It's a decent weapon. You can use it through most of the game. The issue is, it's really slow. Or, well, it's slower than it needs to be. I should put it that way. I'm gonna take off, because we're getting a little hefty on the weight here. Yeah, 37 out of 37.8%. I'm gonna take off my shirt. And hopefully, yeah, you can already tell the difference. And pants? Yeah, there we go. Light roll. I want a light roll as much as possible. As much as possible. Midshipman's Dirk. Well, I could show you. Midshipman's Dirk, a fighting dagger worn by sailors serving aboard naval vessels. While its slash attacks are relatively weak, it is designed primarily for thrusting and can inflict mortal wounds after a successful parry. Issue with this. Good against regular enemies, bad against monstrous enemies, such as the Chain Wraith. And bad against... but monstrous enemies are also bosses. So this is a good, quick weapon. Don't get me wrong, it's decent. It's decent. Has S strength scaling, terrible reach. But, yeah, not exactly the best. It does have interesting two-handed. Like if you two-handed, here, let me... It's actually about as fast as the sword. What is it? There we go. Yeah, combos like that. It's not my favorite. I've used daggers a little bit. They work for a strength build, but they're not a strength build, a dex build. Can handle strong. I don't actually know how much damage that. Ooh, heater shield. That might save us. Might save us a little bit. I don't know how much damage that actually did, but I don't think it was very much. Okay, you can carry the jacks. It's 32 points of damage. You can, like, annihilate things with this dagger. Pretty quickly. And it seems, well... I talk shit about it, but it's actually doing alright. So, let's see. We have a boss in here. And it is... I called her Bella's mother in that episode. It is the Queen of Smiles. Crazy bitch. She's probably gonna get me at least once. She has that attack, then she has her combo. You can never tell if she's going to do that. If she's going to do that combo for 1, 2, or 3 times. It is random based on your proximity. She also has this charge. There we go. She also has that charge, which I choose to roll through. Some people struggle with it. If you have difficulty rolling through it, just use your shield. You can also block it. I'll see if I can get her to... Yeah, you can just block it. You still take damage from it, so that's why I choose to roll through it, because she gets a much worse charge later on that she uses to follow up that sword shooting attack. That I don't think you can block that one, though. So, yeah, this boss fight, there's not really much to talk about. If you're too far away, she'll use the charge. If you're farther away than she can charge, she'll just shoot swords at you. Interesting thing is... Interesting thing is that during her second phase, which I think she's about to enter, she does the sword shooting charge, and you can actually see, if you pay attention, you can actually see her, yeah, there we go. Whenever she's about to do it, she will pull her arms back over herself. And that's a good way to tell, actually. And this is actually kind of the reason that I wanted to light roll. Ow. Yeah, sword placement is random, so you cannot, like, roll through these if you have a heavy roll, but light roll and medium roll are just fine. Eh. 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 Ow. I'm just fucking around, really. Because I had to warm up with Bella, I'm not really scared of her. Eh. Eh. Yeah, as you can probably see, bow's not the most damaging thing. Not the most damaging thing. Plus, you can't really wield a shield with them. Historically, you could wield the bucklers, which are a very small type of shield. Mostly used for parrying. I was lucky. I could have died. Mostly used for parrying. You can also use Parmas, which were another type of small shield. I am actually trying to kill her with ranged weapons. This is a ranged build, despite how much I use daggers and melee weapons. You do have to aim with the same stick you move with. That's why I'm kind of... yeah. Also, when you vanquish a boss, because it's vanquishing in this, you get your items not through a drop, so arrows used on a boss are not saved, which is unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world. That's chef's gear, if you didn't start with it. I'm going to explore a little bit. I think this leads back. Okay. Leads to here. Those of you that saw the Abella playthrough know this is a asshole area because it's very easy to miss a jump and fall off into that bottomless pit. That bottomless pit, as you can probably tell, is a bottomless pit. You will die if you fall down it. So I'm just going to use a Bell of Return, which takes me back to the Sanctuary. And I'm going to level up. Now, I think I'll be sticking with daggers, just simply because it's easier, and... yeah, I'm not too fussed about the Claymore thing. Do note, Class 2 of any weapon or armor type requires black pearls equal to the class level of that weapon or armor type. So, Class 2 bows, I'm going to go ahead and pick this up. Class 2 bows are a little toothless shield. I should actually look into increasing Frankian Spatha. It's just kind of a straight upgrade of the arming sword, though it has shittier strength scaling, unfortunately. It is slightly heavier, but it just does more damage. Axes are, ironically, kind of your quality weapon, really. Platoon crossbows, unlike bows, have kind of meh scaling. So, blacksmith's gear, as you could probably tell, a lot of fire defense. That's going to be very useful for a later boss. Those of you that have played the game know what boss I'm talking about. Midshipman's Dirk. Oh, I don't have the salt. Yeah, because upgrading requires salt, not money. For some fucking reason. Like, I understand it, but if you're going to have money separated from salt, that's like one of the few gripes I have with this game. If you were going to have your money separated into two different styles, then have that money, then, stick to it. If you have... And I think you do need to upgrade these in order to transmute them, which is something I will get to later. Lock of hair. So I could get one of these to level 2. Midshipman's Dirk. I will be honest, I'll probably be using the Dirk more. I don't know. Is the number after the... is the number on the left the base attack, and the number on the right is the scaling attack? It might be. Like what it is after scaling type thing? 8.4, 8.9. Yeah, the bow does go up more. And I don't really plan to use the bow too much. So, let's see. Let's make an offering. Stone Mage, Stone Leader, Stone Cleric. I don't plan to use that. The Stone Guide is interesting. Need a hand? Indeed. Calling Horn. Sounded to travel to any sanctuary with a guide in it. These are consumables. You only really need to buy them once, but I'm going to buy them. I'm going to buy 2 of them. They work similarly to the Bells of Return. If you use them, you will return to the last sanctuary you visited with a guide in it, rather than specifically the last sanctuary you visited. Guides are your fast travel. You can travel to any shrine using a guide, but you can only travel in shrines with a guide. So you have to actually have a shrine with a guide to talk to travel to it. I think it's an interesting system, and I'm not too bugged about the fact that they give it to you early. Just simply because it's not required. You can technically swoosh around to any... I don't need arcane defense right now, but I might as well. Lock stamina. I might as well. There's no reason not to. Damn it, I forgot to open that door. Now I have to go all the way there. But anyway. Does this guy sell arrows? I forget if he does. He does not. That's weird. I think it's the merchant that sells arrows. I'm fairly sure. Ooh. Ooh. I would prefer not to die to that thing 2 times in the same episode. Hello. There we go. They're a little easier with ranged weapons. Oh yeah. And if you kill something, you'll usually get at least some of your arrows back. Not all of them. But at least most of them. Getting better at parrying. 38 points of damage and 19 to the bat. Not nice. Not nice. Not bad, actually. So, Midshipman's Dirk. Daggers. Not bad if you can take up parrying. And of course, because there's some wind up to their attacks, I can actually... time it myself. Drowned archer's here. You shall not get me this day, Mini Jack. And I think there's a secret door down here. Yeah, there's a telegraph for the secret door. You probably saw it over here. And Wrapped Link. I think I would actually rather have that one. This has very little benefit to your roll. It gives you a slightly longer roll. Can be good, can be bad in some situations. It's a very small difference, but it is a difference. Some people would swear by it, some people say it's completely useless. I'm kind of in the latter camp, honestly, but I will attempt to use it. If I notice an actual change after prolonged use of it, then, I don't know. I'll probably get addicted to it and never be able to take it off. But, secret door down there. Is there anything down here? Ah, this. Don't trip off of this. You will die. This is a later area. These monoliths, you've probably been seeing them before. This game is as much a Metroidvania as it is a Souls game. Or a Souls-like, rather. It's not actually a Souls game. From Software did not make this game. This game is made by a couple studios named Ska Studios and Team Renegade. Black Pearl. You get a Black Pearl after defeating every boss, usually in a shortcut that allows you to loop back on the shrine for that boss. So, you don't need torches, but I like to use them because of this. And where does this lead? Out here, I see. You don't always need torches. There are some yeah. There are some areas where you do need torches, there are some areas where you don't, and... Ooh, a big boy. Big. And, there are areas where you can use torches, it's just like a personal preference thing. Okay, so this character. Oh, Mad Saltbone, I am not like you, born of salt. I am born of that life that flickers like flame. I am summoned by the song of souls, spelled in candlelight, written by the drowning saltborn. Your world is cold and stifling. My light is fleeting here. So she does a few things. You can buy her set, but it requires class 3 light armor. It's really good. Hey, look at that weight to defense ratio. Sweet Christ. She can cleanse you, which is if you are corrupted, which is a mechanic later on, and she can forgive your sin. If you leave a covenant, you cannot rejoin that covenant. For instance, if you trade, and we're going to get to that later. We're going to see an example of that later, because the covenant for Jenkins that he's going to be permanently using is coming up soon. And it's actually at the end of the Whispering Woods, the Woods, whatever it's called. And she will allow you to join old covenants you might have left. Hopefully the audio is a little bit better this time around. I turned it down a lot. And yeah, like I said, you can't parry monsters' enemies. Come back here, boy. He's probably gonna charge. Or not. Guess he doesn't feel like it. Yeah, that's expected boss fights to go something like that. Plus, we've still got a Pale Charm. I forget what that does. We've still got the first iteration of the dagger. Okay, so charms. I explained this in Abella's episode, but these are things you attach to your weapons in order to gain certain buffs. Pale Charm increases attack reach. That's a little weird. Bloodflower Charm. A metal charm painted red. The bloodflower plant has long been used as a red pigment in dyes. And paints, but the superstition tying it to bloodlust is relatively recent. Wearers may don bloodflower painted arms, but a dress dyed in bloodflower would be considered to be in poor taste. Increases attack power. Really good for daggers. Pale Charm, a deceptively plain wooden charm. The runes inscribed on it literally translate to grasp to beyond. Charms like these promise to bless their owners with the unattainable. Increases attack reach. So, there's that. Going to be putting it on the dagger because the dagger does not suffer any shortage of attack speed, or it could probably use attack reach, but picking between attack damage and attack reach, I would rather have attack damage. This area is a bit of a cunt. There are those enemies which are resistant to physical attacks. As you can see, I'm only doing 2 damage out of 12. They're also resistant to staggering. Only got like 3 arrows back, unfortunately. And they're difficult to spot. In this particular instance, they made it easy by putting a tree behind it. However, the easiest way to actually... Oh, that's nice. The easiest way to actually damage them is to let them get on you. They poison you, which in this game can stack. If you take too many iterations of poison at the same time, you'll find yourself rapidly losing HP. Warhorn is a buffing item. Antidote is an antidote. Use it to cure poison. I'm not going to use it quite yet. Not bad. So, apparently it takes 2... That's a dick move. Like, if you see, there's a little slime right there on the way to the Vilehawk, which is what those are called. And they're kind of the proto-Jenkins at the moment. Come here, slime. Nice. Come here. That's a dick move. That's not fair at all. Boy. Son. There we go. I will be wanting their gear and their bow. 2 arrows. This dagger's actually pretty good staggering things. That's kind of nice. And with the Bloodflower Charm, we're starting to do some actual, like, respectable levels of damage. There we go. Little bit of death. I don't currently have anything benefiting me for like drop rates and such, which I would like that actually, because I want the Vilehog gear, frankly. It's just one of those things that I want. I'd also like something called Silverleaf. Okay, so you just spam X if those things grab you. That's actually pretty nice. We were suffering a lot with the Bella going through that area. That NPC is someone that you don't need to worry about until later. Don't expect us to get to multiple bosses like we did in Abella's thing. I'm just going to be exploring this area until Mossy Charm. Mossy Charm increases attack speed. It's a little bit of a weird charm. It's good for things like the Claymore. The Claymore. However the fuck you pronounce it. It's a Claymore. Ah! My legs! Alright, I can still run. Fuck. The bones are sticking out. Hamming that up a little bit too much, probably. So, there's this. Crimson gear. I can actually wear that. I am not used to that. It's light armor. It's a little heavier than our current gear, but it's just overall more protective. I think in some instances it's lighter than certain gear. An elegant cloth hood. The only thing it's missing is poison defense, which is actually kind of what we want for this area. Yes, yeah, but it gives us a little bit of everything else, actually. There's a mini jack. Should I take on the mini jack? I'm gonna heal up. Enjoy, friendo. These fucking bats, though. I don't know. The bats feel like they're just a test of patience, really. Dick. Not bad. Not bad. Ah, here we go. And there's this, which is the trees. For a bundle of salt and stone mage, not something. Well, maybe. The main reason I say maybe is because. Ow. Well, it's unlikely that Jenkins is going to use magic in terms of, actual spells. He might use something called incantations, which is another method to use magic, and I think you don't get that until after the boss, which is another method to use magic that doesn't require a catalyst. Answer it real quick, because that's a lot of poison. These bats can also poison you. There's a lot of stuff in this area that poisons you. So, yeah. Bag of salt. Oh no. Okay. Oh, okay. Alright. Oh no. Can I not get back up there? Damn it. Alright, well, I think I should be able to get... Oh no. Well, there goes me. Oh, what was I saying? Ah, yes! Jenkins may use a form of magic known as incantations. Incantations require no catalyst, no cane, no wand, that kind of thing. But they do still take up the focus, which is the tiny bar underneath the stamina bar, which also consumes maximum stamina. gone thought. Got a torch from one of these. Enemies do drop more than one item in this game. Like, they're guaranteed to drop more than one item. Okay, that jump attack is a little ferocious. By the way, you can just, like, listen for the clang to parry, or you can just time the parry to when the attack exactly hits. Not much to talk about with these bats, really. What else is there? There we go. I wish those guys would drop some of their items. They drop some of it for a Bella. So it feels a little dickish. I'm gonna need a flask. I didn't get poisoned that time. Charred doll. I'm fairly sure I need that for an upgrade material, for something. There we go. I'm going to win this archer battle. I am the spirit. There we go. Ah, he dropped arrows. Dick. Going to win that archer battle. Oh hey, you don't have to go through the boss. Stone, sailed sword, and a buckler. The buckler makes it easier to parry. I don't really care for it. Another one of Piki. Alright, so the story behind Piki is actually Jack's to tell, interestingly. He's the sort of player that likes to play either fighters or necromancers when it comes to D&D. Like, those are the two characters he plays. Well, if you count barbarians as fighters, which I do, because there's not really much difference. So, he will play pretty much anything that offers an interesting bit of necromancy, and that's kind of why we don't really enjoy... I have the ranged weapons. It's kind of why we don't really enjoy the D&D necromancers, is because they're kind of shitty necromancers. Silverleaf. I needed that. Leather gear. Can I wear it? What does it require? Info. Class 1 heavy armor for leather. Excuse me. I feel like that is... no. That is no. So yeah. Here we have what we're actually going to be using. Take the oath of the stone roots. You will denounce the three and become an apostate. Yes. Tree of skill. Skill. And more dexterity. I know, I could have picked up heavy armor if I really... well, I could have gone... damn it! I could have gone through shield and then picked up heavy armor and worn the leather. Shit. Make offering. Stone leader. Stone sellsword. A small stone figure in the form of a rugged sellsword. Offer the stone sellsword to an altar to summon a sellsword to the sanctuary. Grants shield block bonus to sanctuary region. Useful. Cleric. Grants prayer potency bonus to sanctuary region. Stone mage. Like the cleric, but for spells. Hello, friend. Learn incantations. Okay, these do require magic. Venomous Blade and Wildfire are kind of the ones that I want. I showed them a little bit in the Bella's thing. Venomous Blade is the one that I definitely want. But Wildfire, also useful. Need not know a direction, but the elemental is summoning it. Must be careful to protect himself from devastating power. And Venomous Blade is just a venomous weapon debuff. It's a poison debuff, or it's a poison weapon buff. and then poison gas. The Codex Malefinet dwells at great length on poison gas. Though most of its pages are ostensibly meant to be humorous allusions to flagellants. I'm not surprised. You can also buy spells from him. Jenkins does not have the capability to use either of these. Lightning Barrage is actually kind of weirdly better than Lightning Bolt. Focus costs 2, but it fires them in a stream. And he also sells basic spellcasting gear, Scrimshaw Arcane, and Saltwood Branch. He also sells Charged Ring, Increased Magic, a magic ring set with a rich blue crystal. The crystal softly hums as if charged by the celestial fabric of fire and sky. An ivory staff carved from the bone of some enormous, ocean-going beast. The runes engraved upon its surface act as elemental focal points, allowing its user to channel the ambient energies of fire and sky into physical manifestations known as magic. Likely the work of a traveling wizard, many of whom make a living peddling these unique and attractive handicrafts as both souvenirs and practical tools of their trade. Saltwood Branch. A branch cut from a common saltwood tree, stripped of its bark and carved with a series of runes, allowing it to channel the ambient energies of fire and sky. The fabric of these most basic tools is one of the first lessons. The fabrication of these most basic tools is one of the first lessons learned by acolytes of the craft, and indeed, this one bears rough and imprecise cuts, which betray the work of an inexperienced initiate. If you start with a mage, you start with this one, Saltwood Branch. You might be thinking, well, what's the difference? What does a wand do that a cane cannot? A cane is a two-handed magic item, which is something I find enjoyable, because magic items, much like my bow, have either 1 or 2 slots. They also have charms. So if I had a wand, I could equip my dirk in one hand and my wand in the other, and I could choose between a charm or a spell. Or I think you can either do that, or it has both a charm and a spell slot. However, with a cane, much like my bow, and crossbows are effectively ranged wands. Much like my bow, a cane has 2 slots. I can equip normal arrows in one slot and fire arrows in another slot if I go to a merchant. But with a scrimshot cane, you can equip two different spells. Wands are slightly better if you're running more of a spell sword, which is kind of required in the early game, but with a cane, you can balance your magic, because I'm surprised I'm going over this in Cavekeeper's Ear, Split Swordsman's Ear, Court Sorcerer's Ear, Feral Beast Tooth, Drowned Bandit's Ear, Rotten Walker's Ear. Alright. I'm gonna have to farm these for the dude, because you get benefits from these, and they're really good benefits too. Be our eyes and ears out there, Woods Wraith. And this boy, now that I've done the thing, will actually transform my gear. Kuremo turns into the Shrouded Bulwark with the Sodden Knight's Ashes and an Amber Idol. Or the Black Widow with the Queen of Smiles' Ear and the Amber Idol, which is a Class 2 Greatsword and Class 2 Magic Sword. Yes, Magic Greatsword build. This thing hits like a fucking truck. You can one-shot the boss of this area with this thing if you are a Magic and Greatsword build. It's fiddly and requires some farming to accomplish, but you can. Additionally, Midshipman's Dirk can be turned into a Cut Per Shiv with a Skullbat Wing and Silverleaf, or a Celtic Razor with a Drowned Soldier's Ear, an Amber Idol, and 3,500 salts. Smaller dexterity scaling, greater base damage. Larger dexterity, slightly smaller scaling, greater base damage. Same weight. This one has increased weight. This one is a Class 1 dagger, this is a Class 2 dagger. Daggers are kind of one of those things where you get a lot of them. Bullwhip requires Rotten Walker's Ear into a Martial Flail, requires Rotten Walker's Ear and a Silverleaf. Silverleaf is a relatively rare drop. As you could probably guess, Drowned Archer's Ear and a Silverleaf gets a Breach Pike, which is a Class 1 spear. This is actually kind of difficult to acquire all of the later gear, because you have to either get it from farming or from offering. Stone sellsword. Nah, I want a stone. I would prefer a stone guide in this area. But yeah. The story about BK, and I'm just gonna farm this guy while I tell it, is apparently Jack was playing one of the few times he played a non-fighter character. He prefers them over anything else. Mostly because he likes that feeling of being able to just wade into combat. I don't know if you can actually parry those guys. I would be interested to find out. So he played a Necromancer, and his GM was nice enough to say, you just have to raise the dead. You don't have to constantly keep using, what is it? Oh, if I don't get the bonus from that one, what's the sanctuary that handles the, or do I not get any bonuses from these? I think you get, or is it? Okay, I was looking in the wrong area. You get a soul drop bonus, and what looks like a stamina and a health bonus, maybe? So BK. Ow. Nom 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 nom. BK was Jack's favorite skeleton, because the GM was nice enough to say, instead of having to cast Raise Dead every day on on undead to keep them under your control, you just raise them. They have a modicum of intelligence and are subservient to you, which is kind of nice. This guy drops red shards and amber idols. I kind of want one of his other drops, which you can actually take a look at it in the bestiary. This tells you that drops, in this case, Drowned Soldier's Ear drops a heater shield, or Drowned Soldier drops a Drowned Soldier's Ear, a heater shield, and torch, and a few others. I'll probably spend an episode going over these specifically, but not at the moment. Oh yeah, there's an entry on Cthulhu. The Unspeakable Deep. He's kind of one of those things where you're expected to not necessarily come back to him, but in the follow-up, basically have weapons that can actually beat him. But yeah, BK. So there was a campaign where I think it was either in Eberron or something like it, where the characters had an airship, and Jack at the time was of course playing I think he was playing an evil undead dwarf. And yeah, by the way, the rest of the video will just be this story. Or I could save it for the next video. I might do that. No, I've already gone through most of it. So, I'll probably have to get Jack on and get him to tell the story of that character in its entirety. But, come here. Boy. This is the story of his character anyway. But, so, BK was a skeleton that was a little bit smarter than the others. And he would take parts of corpses, strip them, and put them on himself. So he wound up being like this weird flesh abomination thing. And it was kind of Jack's favorite because he likes that kind of thing. Anyway. So one day, the party at the time, which I don't think I've actually met any of the people that played with Jack at the time outside of one other person called Ruffles. Yes, I refer to Jack by his actual name because he uses that as his internet moniker. I'm actually going to try and parry this guy. Bad idea. So, yeah. Jack, BK, actually, here. The party at the time had come across a dragon, specifically a white dragon, and there was, I think, a big army and they had to leave suddenly. And BK decided to stay behind to buy them time against the dragon, and then apparently later on he came in riding the same dragon because he'd befriended it off screen, according to the GM. And there was just instant erection on Jack's part, apparently. Yeah, that is the story of BK, the skeleton of skeletons, rider of dragons, fucker of campaigns. Let's get a couple levels. Tree of skill. I think I'm not going to do that incantation thing, honestly. Class 3 archer. I could wait for that. Class 3 light armor, but I didn't even go with class 2 light armor. Who knows? At least going to get bolster dexterity. And I'm going to get the shield, because I want it. So yeah, that was the story of BK, and that was this area. In the next episode, we will be taking on the boss of this area, known as the Mad Alchemist, also known as Setzer. Setzer before the belt. We'll probably get to that belt in another episode as well. So, for now, this has been Rabbit, and this has been Salt and Sanctuary. I hope you all had a good time, and goodbye.